Alabama falls early to this Oklahoma football team, but then they rally, they take the lead, but Oklahoma comes up and makes some plays there at the end. The turnovers were the huge story here in this football game for this team, but 2 times in a row now, the Sooners, part of the SEC, and get a win over Bama.
Yeah, and honestly now that makes the Iron Bowl at the end of the year a lot more interesting, especially with this loss. But as you mentioned, those 3 turnovers really seemed to change the course of the game, as well as the missed field goal to end the first half for Alabama. It's got to be frustrating for Kalen DeBoer and crew, because this was such a winnable game for them.
Absolutely.
Had they just taken care of the ball a little bit better. And I know there was a high snap on the field goal. There was some arguing going on between Connor Talty and the long snapper. But I mean, the snap is high. You still got to stay focused and make the kick as well. So it's just a little bit uncharacteristic of what we've seen out of Alabama here recently. But the thing that I'm starting to figure out is, it's just under Kalen DeBoer, the Alabama Crimson Tide, and you could go back to last year too, it just feels like there's no run game, at all.
Yes.
And I know we talked about with Holden Kruismark last week, hey, don't try to run on Oklahoma because it's just not going to work out well. But this isn't just an Oklahoma thing. This has been an all-season thing.
Yes.
And there's a guy up in Michigan who just had a really nice game on Saturday that you could have probably used because I know – Jam Miller came into the year, everyone thought he was going to be the lead back, hasn't really been able to recover from his injury to start the year.
Right.
And it's plagued them all year because it puts all the pressure on Ty Simpson, which in this game, Simpson looked arguably the worst he's looked since the season opener.
And if you look at the game log, it was his worst QBR since the Florida State game.
I mean, it was just a little bit shocking, and that's another thing that I've noticed under Kalen DeBoer. I'm not saying Kalen DeBoer is a bad coach at all. I mean, they just rattled off, I believe, it was 8 straight wins, and they were looking for their 9th. So, I mean, bad teams don't just do that, especially against teams in the SEC. It's just the inconsistency. You could go back to last year as well with Jalen Milroe. And the inconsistency there was immense. I mean, 1 week he looked like an NFL quarterback. The next he looked like a Division III quarterback.
Right.
It just feels like in some of these games, and we had been talking about it. I think I had said something after the South Carolina game. I was like, man, this offense really didn't look good. Are we chalking it up to, hey, this is on the back end of such a long stretch, or is there a deeper problem here? I think there might be a deeper problem here because it wasn't just South Carolina. It was last game as well against LSU.
Yep.
And then it was this game against Oklahoma.
Yep, it felt like it was surging to. It felt like the South Carolina game. You could just write it off as, hey, they just played this crazy stretch, 4 straight ranked opponents, and then just looking to get to the bye, limping into the bye, and then after the bye, then you have another kind of lackluster performance on offense against LSU, and then after that, one of the best defenses in the entire country comes to town. You would think that you'd be on your P's and Q's, so to speak. And they just weren't. You mentioned the running game, and I think it's super important to discuss because Alabama ran for 80 yards. And in typical key Alabama football programs, they lean on the run. They lean on the run game and in the defense. Now, I understand football in 2025 is not the way it was built maybe 20 years ago. You do need to have the ability to pass, but you can't be solely dependent on the pass. And the guys that do the SEC football final on the SEC network, they did a great job of it. They broke down. It wasn't the TV copy. It was the behind the camera, it was the skybox cam or the sky camera where you could see behind the offensive line. And it wasn't just the running of the football that was plaguing this team. It was pass protection for these running backs. They just Brent Venables would just bring an extra corner or bring a safety or bring a linebacker, and they would just play one-on-one with that running back. And whether it was Jam Miller or it was Daniel Hill, they just could not consistently block those guys and putting duress for Ty Simpson.
And that's another theme I've started to realize under Kalen DeBoer. The offensive line has all the talent in the world, and for some reason they just continue to underperform in these big games.
Right.
You could make the argument now, looking back at that tough stretch that Alabama went on. Close game to Mizzou. Mizzou kind of fell off here a little bit.
Yep.
Close game to South Carolina. South Carolina is at the second to last in the SEC, only in front of Arkansas. Their only win is against Kentucky, and it's just it it's starting to get a little bit interesting to me because the 2 losses, obviously the first one was really bad, like really, really bad at this point.
Yep.
This one's a little bit shocking. And honestly, I think the team that wanted it more won.
Yes.
I mean, Oklahoma didn't wow you on offense.
No.
But they wanted it more.
Right. And I was blown away by the play of, let me get his name. Number 44 was he was a monster, an absolute monster for Oklahoma. He was actually in because our Mason Thomas was out in the football game. So he got more snaps in the football game. Let me make sure I got his name right. His last name is Wine. His first name is Taylor. Taylor Wine was unbelievable. He got his hand on the football on the blocked field goal. He had the big sack, the sack fumble that led to that last touchdown there for Alabama. I mean, for Oklahoma. So this is an all-around effort, in my opinion, from this Oklahoma football team. And that guy right there, John Mateer, looked to be back to form from what we saw pre-injury. In my opinion, this to me looked like the most that we have seen him since we were talking Heisman Trophy at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, but even with that, I mean, he still didn't wow you, really.
No,
I mean,
no.
he had the 20-yard rushing touchdown, but outside of that, I mean,
and that's what
Alabama swarmed.
Yes.
This was a defensive game by far.
Right.
But at the same time, Alabama had every chance to win this game. And you can pinpoint it on the missed field goal because they lost by 2 points.
Right.
But at the same time, you cannot – the interception was bad by Ty Simpson.
Right.
I mean, there was no one even near him.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the fumble. He honestly could have had 2 interceptions, though, but the other one was called back.
Right.
It was just a little bit surprising to me because Ty Simpson these last 2 weeks had a real good opportunity to take a stranglehold on the Heisman race, and now it almost at this point, I think he's out of it.
Yeah, me too. And if you look at the latest odds, I don't know what he was at the end of last week, but I looked today, and it's depending on what book you look at, it's anywhere between 100 and 150 to 1.
Yeah.
And he was one of the favorites going in. Now I think he's maybe 10th, 11th, 12th, somewhere in there, going into this week. So it is to me is a very, very interesting spot here for Alabama, because now, like you said, once you start to break down those wins that were in that winning streak, you're outside of the Georgia game, which I'll take nothing away from Alabama.
I mean, that's probably the best win.
That for sure, that's the best win, going on the road to Georgia and winning there. Vanderbilt in the Vandy game, Vandy fumbled the ball twice in the red zone. And then in the Missouri game, you mentioned Missouri, Tennessee's kind of fallen off. South Carolina, we know what they are. LSU fired their coach before the game, so it's an interesting situation here for Alabama, and slowly they're putting more in the hands of the college football committee than their own hands. I would say the season ended today; they're still in the playoff.
Yes,
but there's still a lot more football to be played, including the Iron Bowl late in the season. You got a chance to hear from Bama head coach Kalen DeBoer after the game.
Oh, well, I think we had almost 275 yards in the first half. What's disappointing is the turnovers, because even the interception, we were working in deep into their territory, the interception for a touchdown, and then we just gave them the ball in our own territory a couple times there. So I felt like, it wasn't perfect, but we were facing a very good defense, and we understood that. And, I felt like we were executing better today than we have probably the previous couple weeks against a very good defense. And so, just the big mistakes are the ones that hurt us.
So he talks about the kicking woes and the turnovers, but you probably have to give a lot of credit to the guys on the other sideline. Oklahoma, it looked to me, and I think it looked to a lot of people, that when John Mateer went down, the offense, even before, the offense wasn't blowing you away. He was just a good leader, and Ben Arbuckle and company, they were really solid going in. It felt like after the hand surgery, it was like, okay, you could almost write this team off. Like, you're just waiting for them to lose that second and third game in order to get themselves out of the hunt. And now they find themselves right back in the hunt.
I think, honestly, after the Texas game, I was like, all right, that's it. Oklahoma, you had a nice run. I think John Mateer, you rushed yourself back. You didn't look right. I mean, he looked great for a drive and a half, and then after that, it was like, what is going on with John Mateer right now? Throwing 3 interceptions. The numbers aren't going to pop at you right now, but it's the dual threat of Mateer that's really going to keep them in this game. And as I mentioned, I think they only had 230 total yards in the game. Right. So the Alabama defense did their job.
Yeah.
It's just Oklahoma did just enough to win the game. And now you could easily make the argument that they're the best two-loss team in the country based on the schedule that they played. I think they have a relatively easy finish to the year. I think they have Arkansas and LSU to end the year. So I think they're in at this point.
I think so too. And if you're looking at the other two-loss teams, because I was going to pull it up because obviously Alabama was going to be in that mix, but they have the head-to-head over Alabama. But of the two-loss teams right now, we'll look at the AP poll, and of course we'll dive more into it later on in this hour. But you have Oklahoma, Notre Dame, of course Alabama. You have Vandy, Utah, Miami, Southern California, and Michigan and Virginia. That takes us to basically the top 20. And then you have others like Tulane, Houston, some of the Tulane being a G5. But of the Power Four, I'm right there with you. I don't see a better two-loss football team than Oklahoma. And the way they're playing here as of late, to me, is really surprising in a lot of ways. Going to Tennessee and getting a big win over the Vols, going to Tuscaloosa and getting a big win there over Alabama, and the way they're doing it, because like you said, they're not really blowing you away offensively. Their defense is really doing the work. And even the Ole Miss game, the game that they lost,
that's not a bad loss.
It wasn't a bad loss, and they played well in that football game. 34-26 was the final there. So, I mean, if I'm the committee, it's going to be hard trying to parse these teams together. I don't know what we see tomorrow when the committee polls come out, but I'm really interested to see the gap between where Alabama and where Oklahoma is, because they both have two losses and obviously they're head-to-head.
Well, I think you have to put Oklahoma at 9 and Alabama at 10.
Oklahoma 9-10. Okay,
yeah.
So that's where. Okay, so there would.
Because I mean, Alabama's not going to drop out because of this loss. They're still a great two-loss team.
Right.
Now they can't afford another loss because then they're done.
Right.
If you lose to Eastern Illinois, you definitely don't deserve to be in.
Right.
And especially if you lose to Auburn as well, you're not getting in at that point.
Right. Do you which do you as a connoisseur of college football and you that is the observer of what the polls and what the committee will do you think Alabama will be ranked ahead of Notre Dame going into tomorrow's college football playoff committee? Because both have two losses. Obviously, right now, Notre Dame riding a 9-game winning streak after losing those 2 games to start the season.
I think so, only because of what Notre Dame did to Pitt over the weekend.
Yeah.
I know we talked last week about Pat Narduzzi's comments about losing by I'd want to lose 110 and win the next 2 games. Well, you lost by, I think it was like 28 or something like that. Or no, the late touchdown made it like a 15-point game.
Right.
But still covered. My bet was fine at that point. We'll get to that later. But I mean, Pitt came in. They were playing pretty good. Mm-hmm. I mean, Notre Dame, you look at the schedule, USC, Pitt. I mean, those are the 2 best wins right now.
Right.
And I think A&M continuing to win is huge for Notre Dame because you could say that's a quality loss. I mean, it was I think it was a 3-point.
Yeah, 44-41.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. The one that's going to maybe hurt you is the Miami one. But, I mean, even then, it's still not bad.
Right now. No. Yeah.
I think the committee's going to punish Alabama a little bit more than you would expect. I think it's Notre Dame at 8. Oklahoma at 9, Alabama at 10.
Okay, so you're saying that you think the committee will boost Notre Dame because of that win over Pitt.
Yes,
and then also get a boost for Oklahoma.
I think Texas Tech moves up to 5. Okay. Georgia obviously moves into the top 4.
Yeah.
Ole Miss moves up to 6.
Right.
And then you look at 7, 8, 9, 10. I just said 8, 9, 10.
Right.
I mean, you could make an argument
Oregon,
for Oregon probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have let's see. In this week's, like, I'm just going based on the AP poll right now. You have Oregon and Ole Miss kind of sandwiched in there.
Yeah. And it seems like Ole Miss is going to move up before Oregon.
Yes. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Again, we just talked about teams beating other teams and wanting those teams to win. If Oklahoma keeps on winning, that's a great win for Ole Miss because coming into this, everyone was like, well, why is Ole Miss ranked so high? They haven't really played anybody. Well, they beat Oklahoma in Norman.
Yep.
And Oklahoma just beat Alabama. So what does that tell you about the Rebels? Exactly. I know they won a close one here this weekend, but a win is a win. They have 1 game left.
Yep.
And I don't see them losing.
No, I don't see them losing
State. So they're in.
Either. I see a competitive game, but I don't see them losing at all.